News on tech giant Apple. Bloomberg reporting the company is nearing a deal to put ChatGPT features from OpenAI on its next mobile operating system. Apple expected to showcase new AI capabilities at an event next month. Separately, two labor-related stories. The first, workers at a Maryland Apple store voting to authorize a strike. Second, Bloomberg says that employees at the Short Hills Mall, which is a New Jersey area, at that Apple store voted against unionizing. Joining us now on all these headlines, Toni Sacconaghi, Bernstein senior research analyst. You positive on the stock right now, Toni?
Good morning, Joe. Yes, we are positive on the stock. We upgraded our rating a couple of weeks ago, and we think risk reward on the name is attractive at current levels.
Are there labor issues? Are these de minimis to what we're talking about, and the other stuff we're going to now touch on is much more important, or is this something to watch?
I think labor is relatively de minimis. If this is something happening at the retail level, retail stores for Apple account for less than 10% of its sales on a global basis, and certainly less than that in the U.S. So clearly, there could be some incremental costs associated if there was organized union activity over time, but it's not material in the grand scheme of things for Apple.
Tell me about Apple and AI. It almost reminds me of musical chairs. Who are the frenemies? How's that all going to play out? What do you think the strategy eventually will be, or can anyone know at this point?
Well, I think the important thing to recognize about Apple is it doesn't have to do this itself. There's been sort of this criticism by investors that Apple is not spending enough on AI or it's behind in AI. And I think it's really important to know that there may be some elements of AI that Apple will undertake itself, and there will be some elements of AI that Apple will look to partner with. And I think we can see that today with Apple in the sense that it derives a significant portion of its profits, probably 25% or more of its profits, from providing access to search for Google, and Google being the default search engine, and from its App Store. In both cases, other companies, Google is doing the search and creating the search engine. In the App Store, it's the millions of app developers who are putting their blood, sweat, and tears in. And Apple collects effectively a toll for access to its customer base. It's incredibly lucrative. And the same thing could happen in AI.
Toni, so that's the question. Do you imagine that when we hear about a deal, if there is one struck between OpenAI and Apple, that OpenAI is paying Apple as opposed to Apple paying them?
Yeah, Andrew, it's a great question. And I think it could be dynamic over time because AI models today are just starting to figure out how to monetize, much like search initially was looking for ways to monetize itself. And over time, certainly, if Apple is providing access to 1.2 billion iPhone users as a default or as a partner with someone, and they are making significant money, they will be paying Apple some kind of revenue share. Initially, that may not be the case.
Do you imagine that OpenAI, which currently runs on Azure, that effectively this deal, if there is a deal to be done, that OpenAI's technology will run literally physically on device? I don't think it really can run on device. If it doesn't run on device, is it going to run on an Apple server somewhere? Is it going to run on a Microsoft server somewhere, in which case Microsoft is going to be collecting revenue somehow?
So we don't know the specifics. I think we do know in all likelihood if there's a partnership, a lot of that search will be running off device. And so we'll have to go through data centers, whether that's through a Microsoft data center. It's certainly plausible that could be the case going forward. So, yes, that is a possibility.
And then how do you, I think one of the things we're all trying to figure out is if there's a deal with OpenAI, does that mean that there's not a deal with Google and Google's Gemini or somebody else as well? Or do you think there could be this mix and match?
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think, certainly what we believe Apple has been working on in part is improving the front end to Siri. So Siri is the access point to OpenAI engines. Apple is intensifying its efforts to make Siri more intelligent. So Siri could say, hey, this kind of query is going to go to OpenAI. This kind of query will go to a voice to image or voice to video generative AI LLM going forward. And so certainly there could be a front end in place that decides where a user query should go to, which AI engine or LLM going forward. So it's certainly plausible that Apple could have deals with more than one partner.
But the weak hands, you think it's back in a good position? I'm not calling Warren Buffett weak, but there has been a change in, I guess, the type of shareholder, long-term, near-term. You think that anything that needed to be done to wring out some of the complacency is done and it's onward and upward here with Apple?
Look, Apple stock has underperformed year to date, and I think part of it has been there's been a weak cycle. So part of this is part of the attractiveness of Apple is that it's trading below its 3- and 5-year averages, and so that provides a more attractive entry point. Our belief is Apple is a really powerful consumer franchise, and now you have a more attractive price to buy it at. I think AI could certainly be a catalyst for the name over the next 3 or 4 months in the introduction of the iPhone 16. But a lot of this is we have a really good company. It's underperformed year to date. And so investors have an opportunity to buy it at a lower price.